All right. Let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is called Leprosy. And pretty much the way this topic came up was we were at the camp. There were people on the comment board on the live show asking about leprosy, different things about leprosy. And Elder Pastor was going into it, and through the Spirit, he mentioned that I could do a lesson on it, and through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Shai, I'm gonna do my best to go into it. The topic of leprosy is a little vast because there's so many different forms of leprosy, and leprosy pretty much you can define it as pretty much a skin disorder, which stems anywhere from scabs, open, sores, like different risings in your skin, skin discoloration, blotches. You can have leprosy of a house, which is mold or mildew. You can have leprosy of a garment, which is the same mold and mildew. And there's certain steps you would have to take to find out if the person actually had the plague. And if they had the plague, then they were unclean. And there were steps on how to go through a process of cleansing, if the cleansing was possible. So I'm going to, through the Spirit, go through some of these and show you. Because, when you have ruptures in the skin, that's a form of leprosy also. Now you have people out there, which this chapter covers it, and I just actually ran across it. I didn't, I never really, I've read, this chapter many times before, but I never really, really focused on that section of it. But there's actually a section in here that speaks about actual burns, like when fire hits the skin and the skin, rises up and eventually it becomes like hardened. I see people with burn. Matter of fact, let's see, people with burn marks, with burn marks. Images. Like you see this. Okay, here we go. This is a good one. See how her face is burnt, and then she had it's like the skin is lifted up and raised up. Well, this is covered in the chapter of Leviticus 13, and this is not leprosy, and it's not unclean. It just happened to be a burn. All right, so Leviticus 13:1. Matter of fact, before I do that, let's see if we can get go to all. Let's go. Let's just see what they say. Leprosy definition. Let's see what they say. You know what? I'll go to Definition Bible. Let's see what it says. And now all of a sudden the computer is moving slow. It says for leprosy in the Old Testament, read defilement or ceremonial defilement. You know what? Let me just go to just regular. Because Esau tries to explain certain things and out of his league. Leprosy, a contagious disease that affects the skin, mucous membranes, and nerves, causing discoloration and lumps on the skin and, in severe cases, disfigurement and deformities. Leprosy is now mainly confined to tropical Africa and Asia, which that's a goddamn lie. You see how Esau throws some bullshit up in there? This is everywhere, because Esau himself, the so-called white man, is a leper. He's a clean leper, so he's everywhere. But they're always trying to put certain stigmas of things that are considered by taboo, or considered people that don't want to touch the subject or topic to be over somewhere over there, somewhere else. Like he says here, is confined to tropical Africa and Asia. Fucking devils, boy, I tell you. All right, so Leviticus 13:1. The Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest, because they will have to figure out, is this leprosy, or is it just, is it like sometimes you might have pimples, or you might have a bruise, you might burn yourself, or you might fall and scrape yourself. So the priest will have to look at it to make sure that it wasn't an actual leprosy, So now when you let's look up the word rising. And before I do that, let's go here. What do we got right here? This is a form of leprosy. This is an unclean leprosy, like this individual has here, and this chick has here. It's a discoloration, and then sometimes, the flesh would be raw. So even if you had a clean leper, that they were fully clean, but then they had raw flesh, somewhere in their body they had some type of raw flesh, they would be unclean, until that raw flesh was gone, and then they would be clean again. So like if this woman was to turn all pale like this, she would be considered a clean leper. Right now, she's an unclean leper, like this cat right here too, and this is a form of leprosy. Okay. But that's a different leprosy than this here. It says, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising. So what is the word rising? Not riser. The word rising is H7613, sha'ath. Sha'ath, elevation, exaltation, dignity, swelling, uprising. So if somebody has a swelling in their skin, right? Swelling, uprising. And let's see. And a scab. Let's look up the word scab, because sometimes they scab up. Now sometimes you have a scab where it's people that have leprosy, they'll have like growths, on their face, on their arms, on their neck, and their back, and on their body, and then they burst open, and when it starts to heal, you see scabs and stuff on it. That's one form of leprosy. So the word for scab is H5597, sapakath, which means eruption, scab, lesion, either malignant or benign. See, so that's a form of leprosy. Now, when you type in leprosy, like you had the leprosy colony or leper colony, you type that in, they give you different forms, and this is, I was almost to the point where I don't know if this is even a real picture, but you see that these are all eruptions on this individual's face, same as this individual here. So these would be considered to be leprosy, and these are different forms. And then you have some leprosy they were saying that actually makes you deformed, so there's different types, all right. So going back, it says, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought into the Aaron the priest, and unto his sons the priests. It says, and the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when the hair in the plague is turned white. So one sure way to know, that it was leprosy is that it had a white hair in it. Let's see if we could type that in. Leprosy with white hair. Let's see if anything will come up. Yeah, this is something they made up. Map of the world. I don't think we're gonna find anything. Oh, wait a minute. That looks like something right there. Just that this individual has a growth in his beard, and then there's like a white hair growing out of it. I mean, it could just be grays that are growing out of it. But usually when you have like some type of, like this guy right here we go, perfect example. See right here, the skin is raw, and then you got white hair coming in. This is leprosy. This is straight up leprosy. So that's a perfect example right there. That's straight up leprosy. So this is what the scriptures are speaking about. So it says, and the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when this hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of the flesh, as you can see here. Let me bring this over so I can. It's deeper, it's like you have the surface, you have the skin here, and then you see this, that it's like it actually goes into the skin, just like this individual here, it's going beyond this. And look, he has a little white hair here also, because that's part of the leprosy. All right. It says, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh. It is a plague of leprosy, and the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. So they would be considered to be unclean unless their whole skin turned that color. It says, if the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, as we just saw here with this individual and this individual, it says, and in the sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut him up that hath the plague 7 days. Because it could just be that person might have fell and scraped himself. You know how they say you cut yourself to the white meat? So it could have been that. But you have to wait for it to heal, and if it's healing and it doesn't spread, then it's not a leprosy. It says, and the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, this is why Miriam was put out of the camp for 7 days, because she had the plague of leprosy on her, so she was unclean for 7 days. It says, the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. Now, I don't know if I looked up the word scab up here. And let me see. Yep, I did. Let me just look at the word again real quick. Masa pakath. Pretty sure I looked it up. Eruption, scab. Okay. All right. So let's go back. And there's certain topics that dealing with the scriptures that you don't want to touch, you don't want to deal with, but it's there, and we're set up, as to tell everything of the scriptures, like the Apostle Paul said, I have not shunned to declare unto you all the gospel. It says, but if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he had been seen of the priest for his blessing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. See, so you have different forms of leprosy. You have discoloration of the skin. You have eruptions in the skin. You have different forms. Hey, well, bro, I mean, we all need Yahushua, to deliver us, so as far as that's concerned, I wouldn't even worry about it, brother. We're under grace. We're not, the Lord gave us grace. And the scripture said that he that is sick needeth a physician, not he that is whole. And then we're all sick, bro. You know, you have some brothers that look like so-called white people, you know, that have that's leprosy, you know, and there's nothing they could do about that, you know. Hey, brother, same with me. People say I have leprosy, you know, because I'm very light skinned, you know. So, hey, brother, I wouldn't even worry about it, you know. I'll just keep on doing what you've been doing, keep on teaching, bro. You know, and like I said, this is the reason why, you know, there's certain things in the scriptures that you don't really want to touch on, but the thing is that we have to teach the whole truth. We can't just teach the parts that are pleasing, you know. And when Yahweh Shai comes back, he said he's coming with healing in his wings, you know. So whatever ailments that we have, whatever uncleannesses that we have, the Lord is going to cleanse them in that day. It says, when the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest. And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and they have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising. See, and that's another thing, you know. It be quick raw, you know, flesh, you know, because sometimes the flesh becomes raw. Sometimes it's just a discoloration, but sometimes it becomes raw, and you see like you see like almost like cuts in it, you know, because that's a part of the plague, you know. That's a part of the plague, and I would keep it on these two individuals here because that shows it clearly what the scriptures are saying. It says, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and he shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And pretty much right now we're rehearsing the righteous act, so we are under grace. You know, we're not under the law, because under the law, like the scriptures tell you in the book of Hebrews, the 10th chapter, you didn't receive no mercy under the law. You know, this is why the apostle Paul and Peter and them, you know, when it came down to the matter of the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, they said, look, just stay away from these things. If you could do that, then you're doing good. You know, because eventually you want to get involved to do more. You know, so the things that are in our control to do, we do. But the things that are out of our control that we can't do, then there's nothing we could do. That's where the tender mercies of Yahweh B'Shem Shai come into play. It says, and if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that had the plague from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy hath covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white. He is clean. See, that's like Esau. You know, Esau is a clean leper. So whenever you have a discoloration like that, this is unclean. You know, and then there's times when there's raw flesh that comes upon him. And even with Esau, when Esau, he goes more white flesh, you know, and hair, should I say. when Esau, who is a clean leper, whenever any raw flesh comes upon him, then at that particular time that he has that raw flesh in him, guess what? He's unclean. You know, he's unclean. All right. So these are all different form of unclean leprosy, you know, and as we read the definition, some of these leprosies lead to deformities. Okay, moving on. Leviticus 13:14. But when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. So see, so if you have an Edomite that is all so-called white, you know, which really he's red, and you have raw flesh, he's a clean leper, but if you have raw flesh come upon him, guess what? At that particular time, he's unclean. You know, and that happens with Esau. You know, they have all these different skin diseases. You know, trying to think of some of the terms that they use for Esau. Some of those skin disorders. Let's see, skin disorders. Let me just type in skin disorders. See what comes up. See, like this guy got leprosy. This is unclean. See? Well, I don't know about this. This is like some shit somebody made up. You know, and sometimes like here you go. See, that's an unclean leper because he he got leprosy, but then there's a rupture in that, so he became unclean. So once that's gone, then he's a clean leper again. Hyperkeratosis. See, and at this particular time, this individual becomes unclean because he has that rupture, in his skin. So these are all like different forms of leprosy. All right. It says, and the priest shall see the raw flesh and pronounce him to be unclean, for the raw flesh is unclean. It is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turn again and be changed unto white, he shall come unto the priest, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean that had the plague. He is clean. And that's why we say through the Spirit, through the scriptures, that Esau is a clean leper. But this is unclean leprosy. Let me see. There was another one over here that I had right here. This is unclean leprosy. And if you type in vitiligo, this is what you're going to get. And then sometimes they say at the hairline, you'll get, because you have some people that have this all turned white all around, in certain places in the face, and it looks like they have a mask on, but this is all unclean. They'll call it albinism, they'll call it vitiligo, but it's leprosy. Biblically, it's leprosy. All right, Leviticus 13:18. The flesh also, in which even in the skin thereof was a boil, and is healed, and in the place of the boil there be a white rising, because you have boils that will break out in your skin. And then once that boil is healed, then if there's any form of leprosy that springs up from that boil, then you have the plague. It says, or a bright spot, see, white and somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest. See, white and somewhat reddish. When you look at some of these people, you see it's white and somewhat reddish. When you look at these pictures, in some cases, you could actually see it. You could actually see the raw flesh. Like you'll see some jakes that have the discoloration, and they'll be brown in one spot, and then they'll be discolored in other places, and you'll see like a little raw flesh coming in. It's a plague, brother. We know we're all messed up. As a matter of fact, Lord's will, if I get a moment, once I get through a few of these verses, I want to go to Deuteronomy 28. And in the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest. And if, when the priest seeth it, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. So you had the boil, but from the boil, leprosy came out of it. It says like like Job, he had boils all over his skin, but when the boils healed, he didn't have any ruptures that came. He didn't get leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hairs therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. Somewhat dark, because turning back like the dark skin that he had. And if it spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. So if it's contained and it doesn't have the white hairs in it or the yellow hairs in it, then the person becomes clean, because eventually it's going to go away. It could just be they probably hit themselves or something, or they, something probably bit them and they had an allergic reaction. Who knows? But if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, because you had burning boils. All right. It says, or if there be any flesh in the skin whereof there is a hot burning. Now this, I didn't really understand this when I was reading it, because, we've read through it before, but there's certain points we're trying to get to, when we're reading, such as the yellow thin hair and the white, and the clean leprosy versus the unclean leprosy. And when I was looking at this, pretty much it's just It's just let me bring this over here. Burn marks. Just burn marks. Images. Which I just had one up here. I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, I just had one. Unless let me see, let me go back on this. Nope, this ain't the one. This ain't the one. On the skin. That's one. She has a burn mark there. See, she has a burn mark there. You see how it looks? It doesn't look right. You know, it looks all, like raw and everything, but it's an actual burn mark. And it actually, sometimes it heals pretty good, but sometimes it leaves like this leathery looking skin, you know? And then people would think that it's leprosy, but it's really not. Like this, see, this is a good one here. See how her face looks kind of leathery? Because she looks like she got burned, you know? I mean, that's so far, I guess that's the best looking one that I'm going to be able to find. So let's just stick with that one. Let's just stick with that one for now. Right? So it says, or if there be be any flesh in the skin whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burneth have a white bright spot, like we saw with this woman here. The one, where is it? She had the what you call it in her neck, the burning in the neck right there, like a little white spots. It says somewhat reddish or white. See, somewhat reddish or white. It says, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy broken out of the burning, whereof the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the plague of leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot, and it be not lower than the other skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days, and the priest shall look upon him the seventh day, and if it be spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not in the skin, but it be somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean. The priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning, and that's it. And an inflammation of the burning, because you have burn scars, which I can't believe this thing just doesn't, Matter of fact, let me see. Let me go back up. Burn scars. Let me see what's this right here. Because sometimes you have those burn scars that leave marks, and they actually leave like welts. It looks like welts in your face. Burn marks. Well, whatever. But you brothers know what I'm saying. Like, you'll see a person with like a leathery looking face because they were burned, and it's like, it looks like welts, like somebody hit them with something. Like well, let me go back. I mean, I have to go to this one here. As you can see, these are burn marks where this child got burned, you know. All right, let's move on. It says, now verse 29, if a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, as we've been seeing, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, this is another form of leprosy building off of their skin disorder. But this particular one, instead of having white hair, they have yellow hair, a yellow thin hair. Then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry skull, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. Now let's see. Some people have it in their head. Some people have it in their beard. Like this individual here has it in his head. So does he. You know, some people have it in their beard, you know, with that white in it, and then it has, you know, all that raw flesh in it. Let's see. Being it, you know, thin hair, dry skull. What's the word dry skull? H5424. Nathak. Scab, skin eruption, skull of leprosy. And I believe I looked up the word skull. A scaly eruption of the skin or scalp. Origin of skull. All right, so let me get rid of that. And let's go back. 31. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut up him that had the plague of the skull 7 days. And so you notice everything is done by 7. This is the origins, really, of quarantine. You know, if you want to get technical, you know, quarantine, you know, is yo, man, you can get on up out of here. Do you love the black woman? Get out of here, man. Here it is. We talking about leprosy. Talking about do you love the black woman, man? Jake got to go, man. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut up him that had the plague of the skull 7 days. That just shows you where Jake's head is at, man. It's right up the woman's ass. And in the 7th day, the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the skull be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the skull shall he not shave. It says, and the priest shall shut up him that have the skull 7 days more. And in the 7th day, the priest shall look on the skull, and behold, if the skull be not spread in the skin, nor in the sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the skull spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the skull be spread in the skin, the priest shall not seek for yellow hair, he is unclean. Yeah, because, you know, there's different forms and different ways to tell. It says, but if the skull be in the sight of at a stay, and that there is black hair growing up therein, the skull is healed, he is clean, the priest shall pronounce him clean. Yeah, because sometimes you have certain like you scrape yourself, and then it'll heal, and then you'll see there'll still be spots there, you know. So that's not leprosy. That's just, you know, a bruise of some sort like that, you know, and everything will grow back. Because if you have hair on your arm, or you have hair on your legs, or whatever, and you fall and you scrape yourself, some of the hair is gonna come off. But then once it heals, the hair, you know, usually grows back. You know, scar tissue to water, brother. It says, if a man also or a woman having the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots. So now let's just type in bright spots. So like this would be considered like bright spots. But let's this is good too. Let me just type in vitiligo spots. Let's see what comes up. There you go, starting to get some spots. See? And it usually starts at the extremities and it works its way in. That's why, like, you'll see some jakes, sometimes it'll start like around the hairline, or sometimes it'll start around the nose line or the eye line or the lip line, you know? These are all spots. Let's see. Let me see this one here. Okay, here we go. There's another one. See? White spots. And this one here just had it, and then he's almost a clean leper once all the rest of that brown goes. There you go. And then they got cosmetics to where they cover all this stuff up, as you can see. All right. It says, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckled spot that groweth in the skin. He is clean. So, Salaki, that's not what that's dealing with there. It's dealing with pretty much with freckles. You know how freckles, some jakes have like a discoloration, you know, with the freckles. That's just a freckle. It's not a skin disease. It's not a leprosy. Excuse me. And the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet is he clean. And he that hath his hair fallen off from the part of his head toward his face, he is forehead bald, yet he is clean. And if they, you know, because you have jakes that have bald heads, but that doesn't mean that they have leprosy. But now if there's a growth that grows on their head in that bald spot, then they have the leprosy. You know, because some brothers, you know, foolishly years ago said that if you have bald spots, that means, you know, that you're related to Esau, something along those lines. And that's kind of a foolish thing to say, because, you know, you have jakes that have bald heads out there. You know, not every jake has a full set of hair. It says, and if there be in the bald's head or bald forehead a white reddish sore, it is a leprosy sprung up in his bald head or his bald forehead. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sore be white reddish in his bald head or in his bald forehead, as a leprosy appeareth in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man, he is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him unclean, utterly unclean. His plague is in his head. So, you know, you see the different forms and the different places where the plague can occur. You know, the different risings and that come up out of the flesh. You know, the hair turning different colors, you know, white, yellowish, you know, these are all forms of leprosy. And then you also have that leprosy where the people are scabbed up, you know, there's just open sores and there's just scabs all over them. And even some of that, in some cases, causes deformities, causes their limbs to be cut short, you know. So it's you know, it's a plague pretty much. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone without the camp, shall his habitation be. But now we have mercy now, you know, we have grace now, you know. So the Lord, you know, is cleaning us through his word. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if it's healing. Just bear with me 1 second, or is it? Let's see his word. I'm not sure if that's Psalms 107. Right, Psalms 107 and 20. He sent his word and healed them and delivered them from their destruction. So pretty much by the word we are healed. Psalms again, 119 and 9. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to the word. So the word has made us clean. Ephesians 5:29 or 26, is it? 5:26, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. See, St. John 17:17. It says, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. So we've been sanctified by the truth and through the truth, cleansed by the water of the truth, you know, because right now, you know, we don't have the ability to do certain things, you know. There's certain ailments that brothers have that they can't get rid of. I mean, the Lord allows the the infirmities, to be at bay, but brothers still have it. That's why Yahweh Shai said in the book of Malachi 4, I believe a brother posted it. I believe a brother just posted it on the comment board a little while ago. Malachi 4. And Salaki brothers, I haven't really been looking on the comment board much. Malachi 4 and 2. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go forth and grow up as the calves of the stall. Why? Because we need healing, and we are getting the healing through what? Through the word. Matthew chapter 10, verse 7. And as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely you have received, freely give. So pretty much we are cleansed by this word. And then when Yahweh Shai comes back, he's going to cleanse the rest. Because remember, we're not going into the kingdom with these bodies, man. I don't know if they went up there and told you, but we ain't going into the kingdom with these bodies, man. We're going into the kingdom with different bodies. This is the book of 1 Corinthians 15 and 52, which is going straight to the point. It says, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last, matter of fact, let me start at 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, because these bodies are corrupt anyway. Neither doth corruption inherit in corruption. These bodies are defiled, the fucked up shit, the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, all the fucked up shit that we've done. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. Because how else would the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai be able to put his laws into our inward parts if the bodies that we have are defiled and corrupt? So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. Let me just get this one. This is Philippians chapter 3, verse 21. I started 20. For our conversation or our citizenship is in heaven, from whence also we look for the Savior, the Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, who shall change our vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body, according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself. So let's see. Let's look up the word vile. Matter of fact, let's go to change.
Strong's G 3345 metaschematizo. Metaschematizo.
That's a mouthful. To change the figure of, to transform. So these bodies will be transformed. These bodies will be changed. All right. Then it goes into what? Vile. Vile is
Strong's G 5014. Tapinosis. Tapinosis.
Lowness, low estate. So this low estate, these vile bodies that we're in are gonna be changed. Spiritual abasement, leading one to perceive and lament his moral littleness and guilt. But really, it goes into these bodies, the low estate of these bodies, the vileness of this body, the low condition that these bodies are in, because it goes on to say vile, and then it goes on to say body, which is soma, which is the body, both of men or animals, a dead body or corpse, the living body. Okay? And let's see what else we got. That they may be fashioned. Let's look up the word fashion.
Strong's G 4832. Sumarphos. Sumarphos.
Morphos is to change. Having the same form as another, similar, conform to. See? So our bodies are going to be conformed to the body of Yahweh Shai. It says, fashion like unto his glorious, let's go to glorious, doxa, opinion, judgment, view, opinion, estimate, whether concerning someone, splendor, brightness, a thing belonging to Hamashiach, a thing belonging to the Most High, the absolutely perfect inward or personal excellency of Yahweh Shai, the majesty, as apparent in their exterior brightness. Does not the scripture say that we're going to glow? Does not the scripture say that that this saints of the Most High are going to glow? Let's go to Daniel chapter 12 and 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn the many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. So these bodies that we have are going to be changed, and we're going to get the laws, new bodies, get the laws put into our inward parts, and we're going to have that brightness, that glow, the spiritual power, the whole shebang. All right. Let's see. A most glorious condition, most exalted state of the condition with the Most High, the Father in heaven, to which Hamashiach Yahushai was raised after he had achieved his work on earth. And that's what we're working towards. It says the glorious condition of blessedness, into which is appointed and promised that the true Hamashiachim shall enter after their Savior's return from heaven. So our bodies are going to be changed unto his glorious body, because he received that glorious body. So when he came to the Apostle John on the island of Patmos, he appeared to them in his glorious body. And that's what we're going to be fashioned like. Soma again. Okay. So now let's go from there to Psalm 17 and 15. I start at 13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And this is what we're waiting for the Lord to take Esau down and to deliver us from his sword that he put on the earth to punish us. From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world. So this is what we're waiting for, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fittest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. Right. As for me, see, they got this world, they got the substance and the blessings of this world. Them, their children, they're living it up. But King David said, is this King David, right? Yep. King David said, as for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. See? So we're going to be changed into that glorious body. So Esau, you can have this garbage world, and the word likeness, H8544, Thamawanah, form, image, likeness, representation, semblance. So we're going to have the semblance of the Lord. We're going to look, our bodies are going to be fashioned like his glorious body. He's going to be far greater than us, of course. He's going to be taller than us, as the vision that Ezra saw, but we're going to be fashioned in a glorious body like his, because we're joint heirs with him. So whatever he gets, we're going to get. All right. So, I wouldn't even worry about any of that other stuff. All that other stuff right now is trivial. We have to bring things out of the scriptures, because like the Apostle Paul said, we have not shunned to declare all the gospel unto you. But at the end of the day, when the kingdom is established, that's when we will be perfected. And when the laws are into our inward parts, that's the ultimate perfection. So we're going to be perfect in understanding, in this world. We're not going to be perfect body wise, brothers going to the gym, working out, getting that physique, that banging ass physique. And then brothers are coming to find out that the Lord is, breaking their body down a little bit, to show them, look, this is not, what I put you here for. I put you here to do my work. Some brothers like to work out. I've worked out before. I haven't worked out as much. I like to, work out when I can, but it's not about that. So the Lord, sometimes he'll humble you down, to so that you don't get too caught up in that, because that becomes vain. You know, you're working out, looking good. Then now all of a sudden you want to wear the tank tops, which I happen to have a tank top on right now, but I'm in the house. You know, you put on your tank tops so the guns, you know, can blaze out. You know, you could so the chicks can see it. You know, it's vanity. You know, but some brothers go crazy with it. You know, so we're not gonna be perfect in physique. We're not gonna be perfect, you know, in this world. There's going to be something in us that there's going to be imperfections in us, but what there won't be imperfections in is in this doctrine, in this truth. Let's go 1 Corinthians 2:6. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect. Perfect in what? Perfect in understanding. That's right, brothers, showing the gains off. Yeah, that's right. Gains. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them. It says, yeah, you see these, man, these guns are they're locked and loaded and ready to rock. You know. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect. Yeah, that's right. All buff and big in the gym, but with small ass legs. Yeah, that's right. Those scrawny legs, big 26-inch python, you know, but then the legs are like toothpicks. You crazy, it says, howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught. So we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, perfect in understanding, because the Lord is making men perfect on the earth, perfect in understanding, and putting them through the fire. And that fire is purifying men and making them come to perfection. You know, and main perfection is understanding. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 23. To the general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to the Most High, the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect. So we're going to be made perfect in understanding. All right. Revelation 14:4. These are they which were not defiled with women. See, they were not defiled with women with these philosophies, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men. Why? Because they were special, being the first fruits unto the Most High, unto the Lamb, and in their mouth, not in their flesh, not in their body, and in their mouth, you know, was found no guile. For they are without fault before the throne of the Most High. So the Most High is making his men perfect, you know, perfect through understanding, which means when you have the perfect understanding, you're going to speak the perfect word. You know, there will be no guile found in the Lord's men's mouth, because they are without fault. Psalms 32:1, a psalm of David, my skill. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man unto whom the Lord imputeth not iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no guile. You know, because the man is sincere from the heart. You know, he's not just doing it just to be seen of men. He's doing it from the heart. You know, so there's no guile in his spirit. You know, so with that, pretty much that's been it. I mean, you know, we read up to what, verse 46, and then 47 on down goes into the leprosy of the garments. You know, brothers want to, you know, just read the rest of that. Then the 14th chapter goes into different leprosies. You know, I mean, if brothers, you know, if the spirit hit a brother out there that want to do a lesson, you know, going into the rest of this chapter and going into the book of Leviticus 14, that goes into more plagues of leprosy in the house and you know, different things and earthen vessels and all that. If they want to jump on that, then you know, so be it. You know, but that's pretty much it. You know, like I said, there's different forms of leprosy. You know, and it's hard to track every little detail down. You know, because you got to remember back then the jargon was different. You know, and then you try to do some research on it, and there's only so much you're gonna find. You know, but overall, the Lord is going to perfect us, you know, and we're going to be changed. These vile bodies are going to be changed, you know. So with that, I hope you brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say shalom.